G'day guys, welcome to our, how do we say this? This is all our previews here for our senior men.
That's exactly how you say it, Ted.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to go through all of our senior divisions here. We're just going to quickly preview some games because there's some massive ones looming here as we jump straight into it. We have a championship men and it is a knockout game between the Keysborough Cougars and Keysborough. Oh, they're both the Cougars.
They're both. It's a Cougar Cup.
Oh, I thought I got that wrong. Keysborough versus McKinnon. The Cougars are facing off against one another. It'll be an exceptional game here with sort of anything that can really happen.
Yeah, I think firstly, let's just congratulate Keysborough. First season in Championship Men, and they've achieved a great result in making finals. They are going in as a bit of a walking wounded at the moment. They've got carrying a few injuries, and
Yes, they are.
Unfortunately, they've lost a few players to injury and that sort of thing. So, but well done on them getting here and earning a home final. But tell you what, they're going to have to come up with a pretty good plan to slow down Sharif Black, because we know he loves finals and he's in some pretty good form since returning from injury, Ted.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that'll be a great matchup with AJ Williams and Sharif Black. I think those two will 100% go at it. They'll be the two, probably the most dominant two players on the floor. Be very point guard dominant, I would think. It'll be an awesome display to be able to see.
Yeah, and I do wonder whether Mitch Barry, who's been given some assignments across the year and done a pretty good job defensively for McKinnon, whether he will go to AJ Williams to try and deter the offense a little bit, try and just create that little bit of interference. And you're not going to stop AJ Williams, but you can certainly try and slow him down a little bit.
Yeah, look, I think you might be right. They might, sort of rest Sharif on one side of the floor to let him sort of just go to work down the other. I think you could be onto something there. But we move on to the second game. We got Hume, who will host Sunbury. Now, this is going to be a very, very interesting game with Ish Sanders coming up against Troyce Manasseh. This is a massive hit with two incredibly, scoring dominant wings.
Yeah, and I think this game they played not that long ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it went to overtime. And Hume was just able to pull away thanks to 3 Chris Elder triples in overtime. And this is what I could call a fairly local rivalry. Sunbury have a good travelling crowd. They will go to Broadmeadows and they will cause a bit of a ruckus, but we know that the Hume fans are pretty passionate themselves. So my big question around this one is Trevon Clayton back from his injury? Have they been saving him for finals?
Very good question. Now, that is a second chance opportunity. So the winner will verse Wyndham.
Correct.
And that game will then be a winner goes straight to the grand final. Losers will verse the winners of that Keysborough and McKinnon battle. So do or die for them and a second chance for Hume and Sunbury in a top 5 finals. But we look at Division 1 men. This was a top 6. So we had Shepparton. Was it a top 6? No, it was
top 5 this year, Ted. So we had Shepparton. They had the week off last week, and we saw RMIT knock off Gippsland. So they'll go on, and the winner of this game will be the grand final hosts and be there ready to play. So this is going to be a real blockbuster between Shepparton and RMIT.
Yeah, look, I was just making sure the league manager was on his toes. He was spot on there, but no, RMIT are in some fantastic form at the moment. We saw Coffey and Steen have probably some quieter games from their typical stat lines. Coffey did have a near triple-double as he normally does, but the 22 points, that's usually a little bit high, and Steen as well. I think it was 16 or 17 points as well. So we'd probably expect those numbers to boost against Shepparton, but they got to be able to try and stop Derek Murphy here.
Yeah, and I sort of sit there and go, I'm pretty sure Steen will get the roll on Derek Murphy defensively. Yep. However, who's going to slow down Coffey is my question, and I know they've got backup guard Thomas Frame, who comes off the bench and likes harassing opposition guards. Otherwise, I'm thinking it might be young Josh Kuiman, known for his sharp shooting, but I believe he's pretty happy to take the challenge on defense. So it will be really interesting. I don't know what they're going to do there to try and slow down the Coffey effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said before about AJ Williams for Keysborough, it's not about stopping him. It's more about how much can you take away and just make things difficult for him because he's such a physical force and he'll really control the tempo of the game no matter what.
Yeah.
It's just about the type of shots you force him to take, and we know he loves banking threes from the 45, so he'll shoot them with the aim of going for the backboard first anyway. But
Yeah.
maybe we'll try and force it to the other side of the backboard.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, and I know that the Shepparton crowd will be right behind their Gators. They will have a sellout. You can almost guarantee it here. They'll have a sellout, and they'll have a heavy influence on this game because they are a rowdy bunch at Shepparton. Let's move on to the next game, and we see one of the games which has me most excited for this weekend, Ted.
Yeah, absolutely. The 2022 Division 2 Men Grand Final rematch, and it's awesome to see because it's all over on that side of town. Gippsland are not exactly close to a whole lot of associations, but it's fantastic to see that Pakenham, the closest association to them, have had some insane rivalries already in what's been a really sort of quick 2 or 3 years for them.
Yeah, and Gippsland have had the wood over them all season, just getting 2 narrow wins against Pakenham this season from their 2 times playing. It will once again the Pakenham faithful will make the trip, and I think there's borderline going to be a sellout down at Gippsland.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
For this game as well. So you think about some of the matchups, and you got Joe Davis. Will have to go head to head with Oliver Omojoyi. I believe I pronounced that right. Or he can get a bit of a run. He might be getting a run through some of those other smaller. Stephen O'Brien is probably going to have a good run. And I actually might just quickly say, Stephen O'Brien, his best 2 games all year have been against Pakenham. So Pakenham might need to find an answer for Stephen O'Brien.
Jeez, yeah, okay.
He made the blue carpet both times he played Packy. So, anyway, we've probably talked about this game enough, but it's going to be an absolute blockbuster.
It really will, 100%. Now, we'll move to Division 2 men because we see Whittlesea having the bye week last week, and they're jumping into display here, and they are hosting the Altona Gators, who had a fantastic game over the weekend. Adam Anderson was fantastic, even though we're not 100% sure if his body is 100%. But he's got a whole week to prepare himself, and I'm sure he'll do the right thing to take care of his body. But Whittlesea hosting this game, it's going to be awfully close because Altona have upset them throughout the year.
Yeah, they that was their one and only loss so far, and it was the last time these 2 teams played. So I think there's one thing for sure: this is going to be our offensive focused game. Whittlesea can score the ball at will. Gabe Evans, Pat Green, Jason Dirks. They're all really good offensive players. And then Altona, as we just saw on the weekend, Tyson Burton, Adam Anderson, Samson Rocker. Like, they've got a number of guys who can just get it done, with Nick Patel at the point, sort of just distributing. So it's going to be a really high quality game. And a really potent offense for both teams. It might be a case of which team can get the defensive aspect of their game going.
Yeah, 100%. And look, the winner does go straight through to the grand final here. Loser will come up against the winner of Mildura and Wallen. Mildura get to host here after falling short. Falling short last weekend to Altona. Wallen getting the win, but now have to travel up to Mildura, which will be very interesting. A lot of people do love that trip. But in a final situation, you don't really want to be, on the plane ride home after coming from a loss.
Yeah, speaking of sort of rowdy crowds, Mildura will have a sellout at the Hot House. We're going off its tree. But Mildura do generally play a lot better on their home deck. With the less travel, it's probably a big factor. But Wallen are sort of got some players peaking at the right end of the season. Tom O'Connor's found some form late. Tyler Best still doing his thing, but Akame Lalamand as well. He's sort of had that injury through in the middle part of the year, and he's really coming into some good form at the back end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, all the best to all these teams coming into finals. Make sure you keep it locked in Big V with some fantastic appearances and players to come. Keep it locked. We'll speak to you soon.